All right, let's jump right in. Today we're digging into a book called She Is, and it sets up this really powerful, stark paradox. It's an explainer that looks at the huge, jarring gap between how society says it cherishes women and the often brutal reality they have to endure. So yeah, let's get into it. So right at the heart of this entire explainer is this one quote, which comes directly from the source material. It's from an old sacred text, and it really lays out the stakes. A society that respects women is heaven, and where women are denigrated, even the noble actions go waste. The book argues that this isn't just some nice-sounding phrase. It's a fundamental truth about how civilizations either thrive or fail. Okay, so here's how the book starts out. It begins by painting this picture of womanhood that is, well, that's almost divine. It pulls from all these different cultural and spiritual texts to present this vision of woman not just as an equal, but as a truly sacred ideal. And it gets really specific about what this ideal means. It's not just some vague compliment. The book says a woman is the first teacher, a guide for your entire life. She is enlightenment. She is hope. She's compared to the purity of the dawn. And here's the big one. She's seen as the very foundation of society. You know, the bedrock that everything else is built on. It's this incredibly powerful, almost worshipful image. And you can really hear it in the language the book uses. I mean, just listen to this direct quote. It's so lyrical. "O glorious woman, you are full of brilliance and you come to us in the form of enlightening dawn." See what I mean? That's not just respectful, that's celebratory. The book is very deliberately putting this ideal up on a pedestal. And it's doing it for a reason. But then comes the turn, a really sharp, gut-wrenching turn. The book sets up this incredible ideal, and then it forces us to ask, what's the reality on the ground? How does this beautiful vision stack up against how millions of women actually live their lives? And that's where the paradox just slams into you. So that brings us to the next part of the book, which it calls voices. And wow, the shift in tone it's just immediate and brutal. This section is filled with these raw, anonymous stories, first-hand accounts of violence and abuse from women all over the world. Let's just take in a few of these voices, one after the other. The first one talks about that loss of potential, that feeling of promise just being shattered. He took the thing that was such a beautiful thing, this young hope, this sense of promise, and he just ruined. Another voice cuts right to the core of that pain. Just 3 words. I was humiliated. And then there's the long-term damage, the psychological scar. It made me feel worthless. And that's the tension, right? The glorious woman on one side and these silenced voices on the other. That's the chasm the book is forcing us to look into. And this is so important. The book makes it clear that these aren't just one-off, isolated tragedies. It then pulls the camera back, zooms out from these personal stories to look at the big picture, using hard data from groups like the World Health Organization. And the main statistic, it's just staggering. The WHO reports that 1 in 3 women on this planet will experience physical or sexual violence. Think about that for a second. 1 in 3. That's not a fringe issue. That's a global reality. And according to the WHO, this is way beyond just a personal problem. It's a full-blown public health crisis and a massive violation of human rights. And get this, most of this violence comes from an intimate partner, the person who's supposed to be the closest. It's so prevalent that as many as 38% of all murders of women are committed by their male partner. The effects, as you can imagine, are just devastating, physical, mental, you name it. And of course, when you have situations like war or displacement, it just pours gasoline on the fire. Okay, so after all that, the book doesn't just leave you there in the darkness. It shifts gears for its third act, which is all about resistance. This section is called She Is a Resolute Fighter, and it looks at how women have always fought back against this injustice. And what's so powerful about this part is how it connects the dots through history. It draws this unbroken line from ancient warrior queens to the suffragettes fighting for the vote and right up to today's activists in the #MeToo movement. It's presenting this as one long, continuous fight for basic human dignity.
And there's another quote from the Voices section that just perfectly captures this fighting spirit. It's this total flip of the script from being a silent victim to demanding justice. She says, "I want the shame to not be my own anymore. I want the shame to fall on him." I mean, wow, that right there, that's the voice of a fighter.
So where do we go from here? Well, the last part of the book moves from talking about the problem to proposing a solution. It basically says, okay, we've identified the problem, we've seen the resistance, now what do we do about it? It lays out a really concrete plan. And it gets really specific, proposing this bold, four-step plan. It uses India as a case study for what this kind of major overhaul could look like. So, step 1, make rape a federal crime. Take it out of the hands of local authorities to get around corruption or inaction. Step 2, create a special rapid response unit called the Rape Prevention and Mitigation Army. Think of it like a special forces for this issue. Step 3, fast-track justice. Mandate wartime trials that have to start within 7 days of a suspect being caught. No more delays. And step 4, and this is pretty wild, create a secret spy-style oversight team to make sure the whole system is working and isn't corrupt. The whole point? To create a system so fast, so transparent, and so certain that it acts as a massive deterrent. So, after this whole journey, from veneration to violence to fighting back to a plan for the future, the book leaves us with one last really provocative question. It brings us right back to the beginning. If a woman is the foundation of society, like those sacred texts told us, then what kind of foundation are we actually standing on? Is it a solid rock, or is it something cracked and broken? It's a question that's designed to stick with you.